Go ahead and do a settling in meditation, and if anyone else joins, I'll just go ahead and let them in. So, sitting in a comfortable position, whatever position that is, doesn't necessarily need to be sitting. You could be lying down or walking. Just make sure your body's in a comfortable position. And you can either soften your gaze or gently close your eyes. And we'll take a few deep breaths. And as we exhale, just allowing the body to settle, letting the stress of the day roll off your shoulders. This is your time. Anything your mind is busy with it will be there when we're done. You can always come back to it if you still feel you need to. But right now, just bringing our attention to ourselves inwardly. Keeping your belly soft. Your shoulders are down and relaxed. Arms are heavy. And your jaw muscle is loose. And relaxing your face muscles. Sometimes when we do a body scan from the top of the head slowly downward, we find areas that are still tense that we weren't even aware of. So let's do that. Let's slowly move from the top of the head downward. Just checking to see if there's anything we can let go of a bit more. Maybe your brow is furrowed or your jaw is clenched. Just noticing those things and maybe taking a breath, and as you're exhaling, relaxing just a bit more, letting go. Feeling yourself supported in your seat, knowing that you're safe. You have everything you need in this moment. All is well. And bringing your attention to your breath, and following the entire breath in through your nostrils, your lungs. Notice how your body expands as you breathe in and contracts as you breathe out. Noticing the different temperatures in the air. A bit cooler as we breathe in and warmer as we exhale. notice how the breath has a natural rhythm to it as we allow that breath to just breathe naturally the way the body chooses to breathe right now. And as the thoughts do come into your mind, just notice that you're thinking and come back to the breath and begin again. No need to be critical or judgmental. We think, that's what we do. But we can let that go and come back to the breath, that natural rhythm, and we can anchor in that rhythm, or we can anchor in the sensations in our body. I kind of go back and forth, noticing the physical sensations, maybe some tingling or a pulse. And then I come back to the breath and stay with that rhythm for a while. But you can experiment and find what works for you. If you're finding that there's any kind of discomfort, you can just allow that. You can feel free to move and maybe readjust. And sometimes we just have chronic pain. Or we can just send some loving energy to that area with the loving intention for healing or cooling, and give ourselves that. We deserve that. Maybe in these next couple of minutes, we can just focus on the breath, relaxing the body, maybe just a slight upturn in your lips, just a tiny smile. Help release those endorphins in your brain, make us feel a little happier. The past uh, several weeks, we've been going over the Noble Eightfold Path, which is the fourth truth of the Four Noble Truths. So if we don't want to be suffering, if we want to have a happier life, we practice the Eightfold Path. So yeah, the first path being the wisdom path, right view or understanding, and right thought or right intention. And we're talking about view, we're talking about seeing the truth of things, seeing clearly what is true, not reading what we want into it, but really looking at the truth of what's happening or what's being said. And there's no right or wrong. So when you say right view, you're not being correct. I think the better term is wise view, wise understanding, and wise thought, and those intentions behind the thoughts. What are your intentions? So that's the wisdom path. And in order to gain that wisdom, we want to practice the ethical conduct. The more we practice our ethical conduct, the more wisdom we're going to gain from our mistakes and from we do well. So we just learn. That's kind of how humans learn. So the ethical path is to practice right speech, right action, and right livelihood. And when we're paying attention to it, we're really on top of how are we speaking? Am I saying the truth? Am I being kind? Am I being clear? It's a practice. And the questions you would ask yourself is this beneficial? Is this helpful? Is this kind? Right action would again be, is this action beneficial? Is this helpful? If it's harmful, then of course we want to look at that and switch that up and move into more kindness. And then right livelihood, sometimes we look at what we do, and in the Buddhist text, it specifically talks about knives and weapons and also butchers, because most of the Buddhist teachings are dealing with vegetarians. However, it's more about cruelty. It's more about what do I do? Does it cause harm to the planet? Does it cause harm to my fellow man? Does it cause harm in any other way? And if it does, we might want to look at that and without judgment again, which isn't always easy for us. We're really good at judging ourselves and criticizing ourselves. But to just kind of do it with a kind heart and ask yourself, what might I be able to change? And sometimes it's not convenient to change your job, right? But sometimes you can make small changes. So that's the ethical path. And then we move into the mental discipline. So once we've been working on the right speech and right action and right livelihood, and we're looking at our intentions and we're looking to see if we're really accepting the truth of things, we're gaining a lot of wisdom in that practice. And we want to make sure we take that wisdom and the things we're learning and put the right effort behind it, which is the first part of the mental discipline, right effort. It takes work. I mean, if you want things to change, you actually have to put some effort into changing things, or it's not going to change, right? So, the right effort. And while we're doing that, we're being mindful. We're being mindful. How am I moving through this? What kind of actions am I taking? Am I being mindful in my speech? Am I being mindful in where I'm dealing with life? And from those practices, it becomes very concentrated. It becomes part of what we do every day, all day, without thinking. Sometimes we'll sit and reflect on it a little bit and realize, wow, I'm much happier than I used to be. Life doesn't bother me so much as it used to be bothering me. So that mental discipline and concentration, we're not talking about really thinking hard or making sure we're doing it in a condensed form of meditation. We're letting it all encompass our lives, bringing this into everything we do, going to work, driving the car, going to the bank, whatever it is. And after a while, you start to notice subtle changes. After a while, you start to see we're not so reactive as we used to be. Now, this is what most people look forward to. I think this is one of the main reasons people want to practice mindfulness and sometimes study the Buddhist philosophy. So, being engaged in our own recovery from suffering, it takes an ongoing effort and a lot of consistent work. A lot of people have asked me, how do I stop worrying and getting caught in my mind stories throughout the day? Or how can I be aware or control my thoughts throughout the day? And I can tell you what my practice is and what's worked for me. I've developed the habit of checking in with myself throughout the day. And at first, it's hard to remember to do that because it's not what I typically do. So it took quite a bit of effort to develop that habit. I just gently and kindly bring my awareness to my thoughts. Where is my mind right now? What am I thinking? What kind of thoughts am I having? Am I having a craving for something, or maybe I'm stuck in a planning mind or caught in a judgment or a story. So none of these things is necessarily negative. It's more about simply knowing where my thoughts are and then deducting whether those are wholesome, beneficial, and helpful. If my thoughts are not wholesome, helpful, or beneficial, then I want to look at why. What's the cause? What's happening there? Can I look at that without judgment and criticism? And once I kind of understand what's going on with me, maybe it's just the mood that I'm in, I might be able to steer away from that feeling of negativity and maybe change that into more beneficial direction by simply being grateful. Sometimes we're not getting to where we want to go fast enough. We're driving a car, traffic is backed up, we're not getting where we want, we get frustrated. But then we can pause and say, I'm really grateful that I have this vehicle. I'm really grateful that I can afford the gas that goes in this vehicle, or whatever it is. But most of the time, when we're caught in that negative thought, it's something we can't control and we have no control over. If it is, we can make changes. But if it's not, it's just a matter of accepting the truth. So you can take a breath and let go of the story and say, okay, I'm caught in a story. I'm going to clear my mind for a few moments and just let that go. Most of the time, I will laugh at myself when I catch myself really getting caught, because after all these years, I still get caught just like every other fish. What I try to create is that new habit of asking myself through the day, what are my intentions? And then going from my good intentions, how am I speaking? What are my actions? Am I being helpful? Am I being kind? Most of the time, if I'm in an impatient mood and I intentionally exercise kindness, the impatience just kind of floats away. It just becomes gone because I'm being kind and I replace it with kindness, which is another practice. I practice honesty. I practice saying the truth of the moment or the situation. I notice if I'm having a judgment around all of that. And like I said, I let that judgment go. I try to stay on top of the daily practice of the Eightfold Path. And sometimes I'll just run it through my mind and my right view, my right thought. What are my intentions behind that? What's my speech? What's my actions? What am I doing right now? Am I being mindful? Am I putting effort into all of this work and doing it with a happy heart? Because I honestly think holding happiness in your heart and holding that kindness in your heart with that intention really softens everything. So some of the things we come up against have a hard edge and we're kind of like, I don't like this, we get really tense. If we bring that loving energy into it and just allow ourselves to just feel, it dissipates and that hard edge is just gone. That we can just move forward in a happier mood and a happier attitude. It's a practice. I'm saying a lot of words, and the most important statement I think I need to make is it's a practice. And every time we fall out of it and we catch ourselves, don't get mad at yourself. You should celebrate those moments, because the moment you catch it is the most important moment. That's when you can make that decision to pause and start over again. So, a lot of work, but well worth it. I used to try to control everything around me, but since I've started this practice of watching my thoughts, I have become less concerned about control. And because of that, I've noticed that I'm enjoying the day I'm watching it unfold. I'm seeing and noticing those special moments that I may have otherwise missed. For example, I was much more controlling as a parent, but as a grandmother, I'm not controlling. I don't worry about their safety so much as I watch over them and I kind of guide them. But I want to experience what they're doing now. I want to see how they're developing. I want to watch them work things out. I if I get in their way by trying to control them, I might miss those details of making that mud pie, because I'm worried about them getting dirty. That's not important. Are they having fun? Are they experiencing their imagination? So I try to act like a guide more than a cop, and I watch over their safety without getting in the way of their creativity. I don't want them to be afraid to express themselves as they're discovering who they are. I think more than likely, when most of us grew up, were our parents were from a generation of rules and expectations, and they didn't really allow for the coloring outside of the lines. They they really were more concerned about being accepted with the good children, because if their children acted out, it was a reflection on them, and so they were really worried about that. And I don't think that was beneficial to us. I think it kind of got in the way of our developing, finding out who we are. And that's not really what I want to do to my grandchildren. I really want them to find out who they are and find out in their own way and be happy with themselves and just feel that security of knowing who they are rather than trying to please me or please their parents. They know the rules. They know how to follow the rules. They're very good at it. They're very polite. They're very kind. But I don't want to get in the way of their development. So I just really stand back now. And since I've done that, they're doing great. They're really good students. They're very helpful. They're compassionate. And I think a lot of that is due to their parents, of course. But I just love that they're turning into these people. And my son is a wonderful dad. He practices the same practice I have. He's not practiced it for as many years, but I can see that it's working with his patients. And I'm really happy to see that. So I know it can happen with you. I know if there's something that you're going through, these this Eightfold Path is just a really nice guideline to help us get through whatever it is we're getting through and come out on the other side of it happy. And it's like the Zen teacher Thich Nhat Hanh said, there's no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. So we want to practice kindness. We want to practice compassion and caring and all those things that make us happy, because we feel better about ourselves when we're happy and we're kind. That brings out this beautiful blossom, right? This happy blossom. And so when we practice that, happiness is the way. We don't need to go searching for happiness, it's already inside of us. Just activate our kindness and compassion button, and we're halfway there. Well, let's go ahead and do another meditation. I might I might say some reminders about the Eightfold Path along the way in this meditation, but I think I'm going to leave a lot of space like I did last week and just notice what kind of thoughts come into your mind. Notice what the intention is. Notice the patterns and try not to judge it, just noticing it because it's very interesting. And I think that's how we learn how our mind works, by just taking note of the types of thoughts that we have. And then coming back to your breath and your body and anchoring and starting over again. So again, let's get comfortable, taking a few deep breaths. Gently close your eyes or soften your gaze. And again, as you exhale, just releasing any tension in your body. Letting your belly be soft and your shoulders are down, arms are heavy, your legs are heavy. You're feeling supported, feeling grounded. And from the top of your head, scanning slowly downward, just releasing any tension from your scalp, your brow, your face muscles. Relaxing your neck and throat, your shoulders and arms, your hands and your fingers. Relaxing your torso, just relaxing your back and letting go of any muscles that are tight. Letting your hips settle in your seat. Allowing your legs to be liquid, muscles are soft, no tension. Your ankles and feet and toes, all relaxed, letting go, feeling heavy. Noticing any physical sensations. Maybe you feel cool air or warm air on your skin. Noticing the different textures, your clothing, maybe the waistband of your pants. What do you feel on your feet? If you're sitting in a chair, feet on the floor, is the surface firm or soft, or cool or warm? Noticing any other points on the body that's connected to another device, maybe the back of your chair. And if you're leaning on a chair, you feel the warmth. Your hands in your lap. You might feel the weight of your hands in your arms and the warmth where they connect to your lap. bringing your attention gently to your breath, following the natural breath in and out. Staying with that natural rhythm of the breath. And noticing any thoughts that come into your mind. And if you do, just labeling the thought as the thinking mind. The thinking mind doing its job and coming back to the breath and the body and just letting the thought go. Letting it drift by. We don't need to get attached to the thought and the story. Just coming back to the body, relaxing, the natural flow of the breath. If there's a particularly nagging thought, we can just tell ourselves that we're going to hold this with love and acceptance. And then beginning again with the breath and the body, anchoring in the rhythm of the natural breath. And in this practice, we learn to accept life on life's terms. And we learn to become our authentic self. Without the insecurity of wondering if we're enough or if we're deserving of a fulfilling, happy life. Because of course we are. We absolutely deserve every happiness. We learn to accept ourselves fully and completely. And this acceptance is a quality of love. We deserve this love, and we deserve a loving and fulfilling life. And when we act with kindness and compassion toward ourselves and toward others, we feel a sense of happiness, a sense of lightness. We practice moving through each day with compassion, patience, and kindness, and we develop happiness. Happiness is the way. Okay, well, have a wonderful week. Hopefully, I'll see you next week. That'd be lovely. I love you all. Take care of yourselves.